Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. Yes, I know it's been a while since I've uploaded some videos. I apologize, at least reaction-wise, but not a lot of channels uploading stuff to react to, unfortunately. So, back to the group thing though. There have been 3 videos that I caught my that I wanted to react to, so we're gonna react to them. This is the first one. We have 2 more we're doing today, and they will be uploaded pretty much right after I finish them. So, we're getting right into the swing of things. This is from Chillin' Scares. This is YouTube channels abandoned for disturbing reasons. And we're going to get right into this, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment what you think down below. Let's go.
Alexander Dean was a 24-year-old aspiring bodybuilder living in Belgium who...
Okay, hold on. We're going back here. Hold on a minute.
Alexander Dean...
Look at this specimen of a man. I don't know what this guy does, so I'm kind of scared, but this guy is a jacked man. Probably with help of some performance enhancements, I will admit, but he's still jacked.
Was a 24-year-old aspiring bodybuilder living in Belgium who spent nearly 2 years documenting his fitness journey on YouTube. His channel was small, with most videos only reaching a few hundred views.
Yeah, this man is a jacked specimen. I am scared to know what this guy does.
But the goal behind it was clear. Alex wanted to build a career around bodybuilding. So, like many fitness creators, he uploaded workout routines, training sessions, physique updates, and dieting content. At first glance, there was nothing unusual about him or his channel. There were no public controversies or viral moments, and nothing to suggest it would one day become connected to one of Belgium's most disturbing criminal cases.
What'd he
One
do?
upload, however, stood out from the rest. In a video titled Alex Dean Rant, Daily Thoughts, Future, uploaded on July 20th, 2017, he discussed his plans for the future. In it, he discussed his life ahead, mentioning that his plan A was bodybuilding, but he also had a plan B, which, in his words, didn't look pretty.
So yeah, right now I'm just not sure what to do with everything, you know? Like, normally I would not have a plan B. This is my plan A. You know, the store and everything and bodybuilding. But
All I will say, I really wish I had the sword that he has here. Up here. I really want to own a sword. It's kind of weird, but I really do want to own a sword.
you always gotta have plan B. But my plan B does not look pretty. So
A few users noticed him to be unusually down and expressed support in the comments. I'm worried for you and wish I could help. I really do understand your issues, and if you want to talk, I'm here for you. Poor Alex, you're depressed. However, Alex only implied that he could no longer be helped. But after that exchange, the channel carried on as usual. Alex uploaded 2 new videos the very next day. However, this was followed by silence. At the time, there was little to no reason for anyone to think something was wrong. Alex wasn't a full-time creator, and the channel had less than 200 subscribers, so taking a break was in no way unusual. Moreover, even some of the biggest creators sometimes disappear for weeks without ever explaining why. But what almost no one knew was that in the early hours of July 22nd, Alex had uploaded another video to YouTube separate from his usual training content. He was visibly distressed, talking about a girl he had recently broken up with, an 18-year-old named Mylis Descamps. He said he couldn't see a way forward without her, and...
What? Okay, so she dumped him then, but because if your thought process is you can't live without them, you breaking up with them makes no sense to me. So I'm gonna assume she dumped him. Probably because he probably got ragey from the performance enhancements. I'm sorry, you won't convince me a guy looking like this doesn't do that.
The tone of the video made it clear he wasn't in a good place. The video has since been taken down, but at the time, sitting on a channel with a very small audience, it went virtually unnoticed. Alex and Mylis had been together for around 1.5 years, but by the summer of 2017, their relationship had come to an end, and Alex struggled to accept the breakup. After several unsuccessful attempts to convince Mylis to come back, he began to spiral. He started following Mylis everywhere. He showed up at her workplace, lurked around her family's property, and confronted her at her neighbor's house. Mylis' parents reported all of this to police multiple times, including calls to emergency services. 2 investigations were opened into his behavior, but Alex was never once taken into custody. When Alex's attempts failed to move Milise, his desperation turned into a dangerous obsession. On July 24th,
how did you think? Okay, I want his thought process. How do you think following her everywhere and showing up outside her family's place and sitting in a fucking shed waiting for her to come home is that all gonna make her come back to you? It's actually gonna be the exact opposite. You're probably giving her the exact explanation on why the fuck she got away from you. What are you doing? I don't know. I'll hide in her shed. Hide in her shed and threaten her with a knife if she comes back. That'll make her fall in love with me again. You fucking lunatic. Guy's fucking nuts.
2017, Alex traveled to the home of a 39-year-old amateur photographer named Jeroen Verstra. Jeroen had taken suggestive photos of Milise in the past, and Alexander had been unable to let it go. He later claimed he believed the photographer had physically harmed her, though the court would ultimately question whether that was true or whether the whole thing came down to jealousy. Alex broke into Jeroen's home and waited for him to return. When Jeroen arrived that evening, Alex ambushed him, held him captive for hours, and ultimately killed him. Jeroen's body was discovered the following...
That's nuts! He got mad at a photographer because he took pictures? And he couldn't let that go for ages. Who knows how long that was? His ass couldn't let it go. He got fucking... Guy's a fucking obsessed freak. What the hell?
Morning by a colleague. By then, Alex had already fled the scene, leaving behind no evidence that could connect him to the murder. The next day, on July 25th, Milise came home to her family's house and noticed a shadow moving inside. She'd been through this enough times to know what it meant. She hid in the bushes outside and called her mother, who was away on a trip, and told her she was certain Alex had broken into the house again. Unable to get there herself, her mother asked Milise's grandparents, who lived nearby, to go to the house. When the three of them went inside, they found Alex already waiting. At gunpoint, he forced them to sit at the table before making a chilling declaration. "I did it yesterday, I'm doing it again today." Only later would investigators realize he was confessing to Jeroen's murder in real time. What followed was a tense, drawn-out conversation at the table. Milise's grandfather told him to leave his granddaughter alone and that no one needed to get hurt. Throughout this time, Milise's mother had been calling the house repeatedly. At one point, she reached the landline and Alex picked up. She told him the police were on their way. She also called a neighbor to check on the house, but Alex slammed the door in his face and the neighbor ran to call the police. Shortly after that call, Alex attacked. Unfortunately, by the time police arrived, Alex had already fled the scene, leaving behind Milise and her grandparents lifeless on the floor. A man who, just days earlier, had been known only to a handful of...
I ain't gonna lie, right? And this might sound thing. The fact that you heard that a dude broke into your house, my immediate thought would have been like, call the police. Even if you think call the police to get him out of the place. Why are you calling the grandparents, the old people to come do it? What the fuck are they gonna do to this guy? What type of stupid shit? This is a terrible plan. To get this guy out of the house. This is a terrible plan.
People, as a small-time fitness YouTuber, was now the most wanted suspect in one of Belgium's most disturbing criminal cases. A nationwide manhunt was launched, and the next day he was arrested at a supermarket. As the investigators pieced together the previous 2 days, it became increasingly clear that Alex had been planning this depraved crime for several days. In a text conversation with a friend sent before the murders, he had written that he was about to do the dumbest thing he'd ever done, and described ending Milise's life as a way of protecting her, saying he'd rather protect her forever by hurting her once. Looking back, his sudden disappearance from his YouTube channel wasn't a break. It was the point where his obsession and insanity, which he hinted at in Plan B, moved off camera and into real life. In May 2022, nearly 5 years after the murders, a Belgian jury found...
Okay, say this. I don't know if it's just a courtroom or what he's wearing, but he does not look as intimidating here. This man looks like a fucking jabroni here compared to, here. Like, here he does not look like, even though he's all sad and that, he does not look like someone you want to fuck with. Here he looks like a guy you could talk, probably, like, he looks like you could get beat up. Like, he kind of he looks like all manhood has vanished.
The jury found Alexander Dean guilty of murdering Jeroen Verstra, Milise de Camp, and her grandparents, along with torturing Jeroen before his death. He was sentenced to life in prison. Yet, his YouTube channel was never taken down, and to this date, his videos are available online as an unsettling record of a young man's descent from ambition into obsession, with one upload where he publicly confessed his intentions days before committing the horrific crimes. On February 20th, 2019, a teenager from Uckfield in England named Mark Williams made a YouTube channel to document his love for parkour and urban exploration. Although the
Okay, so we know this one thanks to Nick Crowley.
channel started as Rooftop Legends, then changed to RoofTube, Mark eventually settled on the name Displace. In his initial videos, Mark was accompanied by his younger brother as they visited different sites in the area. And even from those first uploads, two things are immediately clear. One was that this wasn't a harmless hobby. Whether he was scaling rooftops or being chased off by security guards, every upload showed that what Mark was doing carried real risk.
Yeah, she must be calling the police. Straight up there, run! No! Oh, wait!
The other was that Mark genuinely loved what he was doing. The effort he put into filming, editing, and documenting each adventure made it obvious that this was something he was deeply passionate about. But Mark was also a teenager who wanted more than anything to find people he could fit in with. Years later, his mother would describe him as someone who craved friendship and was far too trusting of the people around him. This detail would eventually become one of the most heartbreaking parts of his story. When his younger brother gradually stepped away from the channel, Mark's uploads grew inconsistent, and slowly his regular posting schedule fell apart. Then, on November 1st, 2020, Mark uploaded a video titled "This Place is Returning," explaining that he bought an action cam to film properly and was committing to a regular schedule again.
I promise you, this place is coming back. I'm getting a new action cam. And I'm going to hit some serious videos. Not like the ones I used to before, I mean proper ones.
This is a sad story.
I'm just getting
This one's sad. This one sucks.
myself back in shape again.
Where are you currently? It's just on a roof.
He also mentioned that the reason he'd been away was that he'd applied to become a police community support officer and had been rejected.
Sorry about the long times. I applied to be a PCSO for some reason and I got rejected, so now, you know, I'm coming back full on.
They were like, "What makes you good?" Well, he's like, "Well, I can get on roofs of buildings very well. I'm very parkoury. I can get on the roofs of buildings and do little fucking Batman vigilante things if you allow me to do that." And they're like, "Get the fuck out of here, man. What's wrong with you?"
Properly coming back. Right.
True to his word, Mark started posting consistently, at times sometimes posting 4 or 5 videos a week. As the channel gained some momentum and built a small audience, some viewers started watching him regularly and even wrote in to suggest where he should explore next. Among those admirers was 19-year-old Lewis Ashdown. Lewis shared Mark's love of parkour and filming and commented under one of Mark's videos that he was from the same area and would love to meet up and film together sometime. That day came on the 9th of December 2020, when Mark posted a video exploring Uckfield's water treatment plan, joined for the first time by Lewis.
Hi guys, I'm back here with Lewis, and we're going to do the water treatment facility in Uckfield on the industrial estate.
The two got along immediately, and from that point on, Lewis became a regular in Mark's videos. But not long after, Mark took another break from the channel. He explained why in a live stream, saying he was feeling discouraged.
I am not sure where my channel is going to go. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing these videos. I don't know if I'm going to be doing different videos or whether I'm going to stop completely. At this point in time, I don't know. I've been training to get my SIA license over the past couple of weeks, and I can't really risk that. But I'm not sure at the moment. I need to talk with Lewis some more, work something out.
However, during this stream, Lewis joined under the username AdmiralUnknown1499 and started pushing Mark to keep going, throwing out ideas for future videos and suggesting new spots to film. Upon seeing these comments, Mark visibly lit up and started talking about what they were going to film together. Over the next month, Mark uploaded 2 more videos, walking around more abandoned sites with Lewis and laughing together. What Mark didn't know at the time was that these 2 clips would be the last he'd ever film. On May 29th, 2021, he had planned to meet up with Lewis to discuss a few ideas for the future. But when he found out that Mark had brought his younger brother along, Lewis said he didn't feel comfortable and didn't show up. He later convinced Mark to meet him alone in a different area. The two ended up drinking together, and even though Mark rarely drank, Lewis kept pushing him to have more. At 11:30 p.m., Mark called his aunt to say he was on his way home. She could hear Lewis in the background, telling her he'd make sure Mark got back safe, but Mark never made it home. And when several hours passed with no word from either of them, their families reported them both missing. For a small town like Uckfield, two people vanishing at the same time was almost unheard of. The first assumption was that they'd gone exploring somewhere dangerous and gotten hurt. Being what they were into, it wasn't hard to imagine them climbing something they shouldn't have. Or maybe they just had too much to drink in the woods and couldn't find their way back. But when investigators went to Lewis's house, they found bloodied clothing stuffed inside a wardrobe. Forensics confirmed the blood was Mark's. This instantly turned the missing person case into a potential murder investigation. Lewis was eventually found at a friend's house. That same friend told the officers that Lewis had already confessed to him about taking Mark's life. In the days after the attack, Lewis turned up drunk and admitted he had done something terrible. He then pulled out his phone and played a series of clips he'd filmed while committing the gruesome act. Officers recovered a total of 7 clips from Lewis's phone. They were filmed over roughly an hour and were so disturbing that the court later ruled the footage too harrowing to be shown.
Yeah, I would assume so, because I was like, they would have gone public somehow if that was the fucking case.
His body was found with over 100 stab wounds. But that left everyone with a single question. Why did Lewis decide to take his friend's life? The easiest explanation was that the night just went wrong. Mark almost never drank, and he'd spent hours in the woods getting heavily intoxicated with someone he trusted. And considering how easily alcohol can turn an ordinary evening between two young men into something ugly, it's not hard to imagine how a simple argument or a shove could have escalated into real violence before it spiraled out of control. But the issue with this theory is that Lewis had specifically made sure Mark met him alone, which made the attack look less like a sudden drunken argument and more like something he may have been planning for some time.
Yeah.
There was also the question of jealousy. Over the previous months, Lewis had worked his way from a stranger in the comments to a regular in nearly every video Mark made. But it was always Mark's name on the channel, Mark's audience, and Mark that people were watching for. So it doesn't take a lot of thinking to imagine resentment festering beneath that on-camera friendship. Both these theories were reasonable to some extent, and both, at the very least, gave the killing something that resembled a reason. But both turned out to be wrong, because Lewis later told people that Mark, quote, annoyed him and deserved to be killed. He said he felt good doing it and didn't want to stop. The judge who sentenced him said we may never fully understand why he did it. Lewis pleaded guilty to murder in 2021 and was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 27.
He's just an evil bastard is all he is. He's just evil. That's why. He's evil.
Years. That's
Pure and evil was that guy. Because here's the funny thing that makes me laugh about this. Let's say that's his reason. I don't actually think, by the way, that's his reasoning. That he found him annoying. Because literally, look, he wanted to stop doing videos with him. He wanted to stop, like, he was gonna stop doing them with him. And all that. You got a reason not to be near. Get away from him, then. He's just evil.
sentencing, Mark's mother told the court that all her son ever wanted was a friend, and that he was too trusting of the people around him. That trust is what cost him his life. To this day, his channel is exactly as he left it, and all the videos with Lewis still show the same sense of friendship. Only now, viewers know what Lewis's intentions had been the whole time.
Was his whole plan from the start of doing videos with him to murder him? Because that's that's even weirder if that's the case. I would have to assume no. Because it makes no sense if it was.
Every time I sit down to record, this happens. I wish I was exaggerating, but I probably get 6 to 8 spam calls every day. Lately, it's been the same debt consolidation robocall over and over and over again. In 2013, 31-year-old Jared Miller created a YouTube channel to keep what was essentially a digital diary. Most of the uploads were of Jared filming his 2 cats, Leonardo and Oreo, as they played with each other.
Look at them. They're so cute. You guys are so cute. What you doing?
But the longer you watch, the more you realize something is seriously wrong with this channel. Because in between these cat videos, Jared would suddenly drift into long and at times disturbing rants about the government. For example, in a video titled Oreo, Leonardo, and Drones, he randomly started talking about a conspiracy theory magazine and how the government was spying on people.
Check this out. This is quite disturbing. It says drones. Are they watching you? This is a whole magazine on drones. Whole magazine.
Why do you
About
have
it.
this?
No ads. All about drones. So are they watching you? Probably. I mean, they're already wiretapping your phones, watching your Facebook and everything. And they're probably watching this video of me right now. I don't care. Congrats.
At the time,
I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Jared already had a long history of feeling trapped by authority. He had been arrested repeatedly over the years with charges connected to guns, drugs, and assault. By the time he was
No,
told-
that guy. Hold on. You're telling me.
At the time, Jared
You're telling me this guy got in trouble with the law? You're telling me this guy right here and police are best friends? No.
already had a long history of feeling trapped by authority. He had been arrested repeatedly over the years with charges connected to guns, drugs, and assault. By the time he was posting these videos, he was on house arrest for selling illegal substances, confined inside his apartment with nowhere to go. And this apartment happened to sit directly across from the county courthouse, which became a strange fixation for him.
Here's my front window here. I can look out my front window. And you look a little closer.
Okay, so
There you go, right in the middle of that frame. That is the courthouse.
okay.
Beautiful building. Even though it is a monument to authoritarianism. You gotta go get your marriage license. You gotta go get gun permits. Whatever it is, you have to go down to that big stone structure monument to tyranny.
Oh yeah, this guy definitely killed someone. This guy definitely went on a shooting spree or something like that. This guy's just fucking gone. I guarantee you this guy went on a shooting spree. I'm certain of it.
And submit. Crawling and groveling on your hands and knees. Oh, give me permission to do this. Give me permission to do that.
To any viewer randomly finding this video back in 2013, it may have sounded like just another obscure anti-government rambling buried somewhere on YouTube. But when you watch these uploads together, they start to feel like a record of Jared's thoughts tightening around him. In July 2013, he posted a series of videos of him speaking directly to his wife, Amanda Miller, while also crying about how much he missed her as he served his time. But even in that emotional state, his obsession found its way back in, as he blamed the misery in his life on what he called the New World Order. Once his sentence was over, Jared and Amanda left their home in
NWO
Indiana
for
and headed
life.
west in early 2014. They first settled in Las Vegas, where they tried to make money by dressing as characters for tourists. Amanda performed as Harley Quinn, while Jared often dressed up as the Joker. Jared would also use the same Joker costume to make more videos for his YouTube channel.
I'm the Joker, and I'm running for president because year after year I've watched you Americans.
In the video, Jared pretended to run for president, promising his viewers total and utter tyranny while treating the destruction of the country like a campaign platform.
You will know exactly what you get. Total and utter tyranny. I want to make everybody submit to one world order governance under my rule, not these pathetic little puppets.
You're right, the Joker. See, he's not even doing the Joker. Joker would want anarchy. The Joker as a president would want full-on anarchy. That's his satisfaction. It ain't tyranny, it's anarchy.
Right now, no, seriously, just vote for me, America.
He grinned through the whole thing and called it tyranny on a madman's scale, selling mass violence as if it were a joke his audience was in on. Though the video was meant to be satire, no one watching at the time realized it also foreshadowed the horrific things these beliefs would eventually push Jared to do. And in April of 2014, he finally found a place where those beliefs seemed to have a purpose. He and Amanda traveled to the Bundy Ranch standoff in Nevada, where armed protesters had gathered against the federal government over a long-running land dispute.
Oh, God.
For Jared, this looked like the beginning of the revolution he'd been waiting for. But even there, surrounded by armed anti-government protesters, Jared and Amanda stood out for the wrong reasons. Before long, they were asked to leave because their views were considered too radical, even by people who had already taken up arms against federal authority. So they returned to Las Vegas.
What the hell are your beliefs that are so crazy that everyone who's at an anti-authority thing, I'm like, get the fucking leave. We don't associate with you. You're fucking nuts. Dude. What's the obsession? What is their beliefs that are so damn just ridiculous that even anti-government people don't want anything to do with you?
With nowhere left for their anger to go. By then, Jared had spent more than a year recording himself framing the government as an enemy and fantasizing about some sort of revolution. And on the morning of June 8th, 2014, they tried to force that fantasy into existence. Jared and Amanda put on tactical gear, filled duffel bags with weaponry, and walked into a Cece's Pizza on North Nellis Boulevard, where two Metro officers, Alan Beck and Igor Soldo, were eating lunch. At around 11:30 a.m., they passed the officer's table, turned back, and before they even had a chance to react, lost their lives. They draped a "Don't Tread on Me" flag over the officers and pinned a handwritten note to one of them declaring that the revolution had begun. And
I did call it that they were going on a gun shooting spree. The guy, like, look at him. The guy looks like someone that will. I don't know why. I was shocked to know that the wife was as psycho as he is, but.
to carry this revolution forward, the couple crossed the street to a nearby Walmart where they threatened people to leave. But a shopper named Joseph Wilcox moved toward Jared to try and stop him. Unfortunately, Joseph didn't realize Amanda was behind him, and she took his life before he could intervene. Minutes later, two teams of officers arrived at the scene and blocked all the exits. As they entered the building, Jared and Amanda would begin to fight back. However, they were outnumbered and outmaneuvered as the officers pushed them into a small corner. The standoff lasted almost 24 minutes before Jared lost his life. Amanda was also found to have suffered a similar fate. But even after all this, investigators still didn't fully understand what Jared and Amanda had been trying to achieve. That part only became clear when officers searched their apartment and found a detailed plan to ambush a courthouse, take it by force, and wreak havoc on the officials inside. And suddenly, Jared's...
Why the hell are you going to a Walmart and a fucking Cece's Pizza or whatever if that's the fucking plan? What were you doing? Were you going in scale? Would you have a list? You were like, I got a pizza. We gotta start low. We go with the pizza thing. I guess we'll go to Walmart. That seems pretty, like, you know, middle class. Then we'll go to the courthouse. Was that the thought? What the hell were we doing?
Old video about the courthouse outside his window felt less like a meaningless rant and more like a blueprint he'd been filming in plain sight. The tyranny he promised in Joker makeup as a joke turned out to be more real than anyone watching earlier could have imagined. So, while the attack ended inside a Walmart, the warning signs had been sitting on his YouTube channel for more than a year, slowly building toward a horrific tragedy that took 3 innocent lives. Mitchell Dang was a 25-year-old woman from Norcross, a quiet suburb just outside Atlanta, Georgia. She was born into a Vietnamese family and still lived at home with her parents and 2 sisters. After finishing high school, Mitchell worked several different jobs before eventually becoming a lash technician at a local boutique. Outside of work, she also had a small self-titled YouTube channel, which would end up being watched for the most unsettling reasons. Most of her videos were about makeup, online shopping, vacations, and occasionally vlogs from her everyday life. It was just Mitchell documenting small pieces of her life and sharing it with her small audience. So,
I'm gonna assume this is a case where she gets killed.
on Saturday, August 26, 2023, when she posted a vlog about getting ready for a concert at Alley Cat Atlanta, there was nothing about it that seemed out of the ordinary.
A shirt, and then I'm wearing a black mini skirt. I'm just going to go and dance my heart away.
She was showing off her outfit and looking forward to having a good time. But unfortunately, this wouldn't be the case. After having dinner with her family, she left home and drove into downtown Atlanta, only to never come back home. At first, when she hadn't returned by the next morning, her family wasn't particularly worried. She was 25 years old. It was a Sunday, and crashing at a friend's place after a late night out wasn't unusual for her. But when Monday came and went with no word, her family started fearing the worst. And a couple of days later, that fear was answered by a police visit. Because on Wednesday morning, someone else had found Mitchell first. At around 7 a.m. on Wednesday, August 30th, a parking attendant was cleaning a downtown garage when he noticed a foul smell drifting through the structure. He followed it toward one of the stairwells, and hidden deep beneath the stairs, he found the remains of a young woman. He called the police immediately, but it was difficult to identify her right away. The only thing they
Okay, so I was right on that.
had to work with was a small detail on her right wrist.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of not happy I got that right, but I did. I don't know why I'm getting these right, but I did.
a wristband from Alley Cat Atlanta. This helped officers identify the victim as Mitchell, who had been missing since the night of the concert. But identifying Mitchell only made the scene more confusing. Officers couldn't find her car anywhere inside that garage, so they now had to figure out why she ended up in a building she had no clear reason to be in. Officers combed through hours of grainy surveillance footage from the area, and the one thing that finally let them pick Mitchell out of a crowd was the very outfit she modeled for her viewers just hours earlier in her cheerful vlog on her channel. At some point after the show, Mitchell had gotten separated from her friends and was walking alone, struggling to find her car while she was visibly intoxicated. That's when a stranger approached her and offered to help. At first, she tried to wave him off, but the man kept following her and insisting that he could help, until eventually Mitchell allowed him to walk with her. According to official reports, he then led her toward the parking deck, where she was later found, which possibly means he may have used the fact that Mitchell wasn't sober to make himself seem harmless long enough to get her somewhere isolated. And once they were inside the stairwell, he turned on her. Investigators later found that Mitchell's death was caused by acts of violence. Afterward, investigators used the same surveillance footage, along with transit records and other evidence, to identify the man as 24-year-old Jacavius Arnold, and arrested him on September 22nd. But even after his arrest, they still didn't understand the full extent of what they were dealing with. According to police testimony, Jacavius admitted that Mitchell was not his first victim. He described approaching other vulnerable women at night, presenting himself as someone willing to help, before turning on them the moment they were isolated. Jacavius Arnold was later found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. As for Mitchell's family, the video she had uploaded on her channel to share her excitement for a night of music became the last recorded memory of her life. Austin Harrouff was a 19-year-old college student.
We know about this guy. This guy is just straight crazy. I don't know what this guy, when this guy became crazy, but this guy's crazy, and extra dose of crazy.
From Palm Beach County, Florida. On paper, his life seemed like it was moving in a fairly normal direction. He had graduated from Suncoast High School, enrolled at Florida State University to study biology, and developed a growing interest in fitness and bodybuilding. Then, in March 2016, he launched a YouTube channel called A Frost, where he began uploading videos of his workouts and fitness journey. His first upload was a straightforward guide about dieting and weightlifting, aimed at anyone hoping to get in shape.
Today, I'm going to be talking about fitness as a whole and the challenges it brings, okay?
Even though the video was clearly amateurly filmed and edited, Austin came across as articulate, confident, and genuinely passionate about fitness.
The most important supplements out there are definitely creatine for bulking, creatine and protein. I mean, protein is important for anybody. And look at the nutrition labels. If they don't have it on there, enter it in yourself. You know, you gotta stay dedicated if you want to be the best. Nothing in life that's easy is worth having.
But that first video would end up being the most normal thing Austin Harrouff ever posted.
Yep.
Almost immediately afterward, the channel took a completely different turn. Instead of continuing with simple workout advice, Austin started uploading rap music under the name Austy Frosty. At first, this could have been dismissed as a college student experimenting with music. But the more he uploaded, the harder it became to tell how much of it was supposed to be a joke. They had almost no sense of professionalism. But Austin kept posting them with the seriousness of someone who seemed to believe he was creating something much bigger than it looked. When he eventually returned to making fitness videos, he was acting very different.
Hello fellow lifters, today I'm going to talk about persistence.
He no longer came across as the composed teenager from his first upload. His personality had become increasingly exaggerated, almost as if he were slipping into a character that grew stranger with every new video.
Right, that's it for today, fellows and ladies and gentlemen. More dieting advice will be coming soon. Hello, bros. It's Austy Frosty, man. You gotta listen to the personal trainer's advice, but you gotta find your way too, man. You gotta learn for yourself. You can't just hope and pray that someone is just gonna...
It was becoming impossible to tell whether Austin was performing a character or slowly losing himself to one. On their own, these moments could be brushed off as awkward attempts at humor. But when you watch the videos in order, they start to feel like a visual presentation of a person whose thoughts were slowly starting to drift out of order. And what no one watching his videos at the time realized was that the changes appearing on camera were only a part of something far darker happening off screen. Around this same time...
Him losing his mind on camera was him losing his mind off camera.
Austin's family and friends also began noticing that his personality was changing. By the summer of 2016, Austin was experiencing intense paranoia, unusual religious thoughts, and what he described as demons and monsters approaching him from the shadows. His search history also showed that, on some level, he seemed to understand something was wrong, as he looked up things like mania, hallucinations, and am I going crazy? And for a moment, it looked like Austin might be pulling himself back together, because on August 12, 2016, he uploaded a video explaining that he no longer wanted to follow famous bodybuilders. Instead, he wanted to believe in himself.
What's up, guys? I just want to let you know that I came to a realization of something. I no longer want to follow Arnold or any other bodybuilder. I want to follow myself, you know? I want to actually believe in myself. I want to learn from other things, other people, other bodybuilders and stuff. But I just know that they're not me, you know? I know what's right for me.
This was perhaps the first time since his original fitness video that Austin appeared grounded again. He sounded calmer and he seemed more positive, but in hindsight, that calm demeanor may have been the most alarming sign of all. Around this same period, Austin had told his family he believed he was like Jesus and would one day be worshipped and that he possessed superpowers. Looking back, the confidence he projected on camera no longer seemed like ordinary self-belief. It increasingly mirrored the grandiose belief that he was expressing in real life. And during that same week, his paranoia became impossible for his family to ignore. Austin told them evil forces were inside the house and began sleeping near his sister because he believed he needed to protect her from whatever was coming. And on August 15th, 2016, everything spiraled completely out of control. That evening, Austin went to dinner with his father at a restaurant in Jupiter, Florida. But he barely made it through being seated before something inside him seemed to snap. He abruptly ran to his mother's nearby home, where he grabbed a bottle of cooking oil from the kitchen and began chugging it straight from the bottle. Seeing this, his mother immediately...
This guy's nuts. Straight nuts.
...contacted police, afraid that her son might be a danger to himself or someone else.
Police Department Lodge reported. Is this Chrissy?
Yes, I need to... I don't know how to do this. My son, he's kind of taken off, and I'm concerned about his own safety.
How old is he?
Acting a little strange. 19.
Okay, what do you mean acting strange?
It seems like he's a little delusional.
Unfortunately, by then it was already too late. Shortly after, Austin returned to the restaurant, had an argument with his father, and fled as...
Well, okay, so here's the thing. This story's different than the story I've heard. Because I've always been told that she drove him to the restaurant. That's what I've always heard, is that she drove... The mother drove him back to the restaurant. Which, by the way, is a fucking dumb thing to do in general. So no wonder they didn't put it there, because that makes the mom look stupid.
Second time, frantically running off on foot. He later described being chased by a dark figure with a white face. At some point, he saw a light in the distance and sprinted toward it, believing it would save him. But in reality, that light was coming from the open garage of a home where 59-year-old John Stevens and 53-year-old Michelle Mishkin were relaxing for the evening. And as soon as he reached the garage, Austin attacked them, thrashing and biting in a way so violent and senseless that a neighbor, Jeff Fisher, came rushing over after hearing their screams. But when he tried to intervene, Austin attacked him as well. When the officers finally arrived at the scene, it took multiple deputies, a police dog, and an electric stun device to finally pull Austin away. John and Michelle lost their lives at the scene, while Jeff survived with serious injuries. At first, investigators assumed his behavior had been caused by some kind of hard drug, but the toxicology results didn't show anything like that. That finding became one of several reasons the case took an unexpected turn. Later, after years of evaluations, mental health experts concluded that Austin had suffered an acute psychotic episode and had no grasp of reality at the time of the attack. Looking back, the character his viewers thought they'd been watching him play in weeks before the incident was, in fact, an untreated illness surfacing in real time until it transformed into something completely inhumane. Austin was originally charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, and burglary. But in 2022, 6 years after John and Michelle lost their lives, the court found Austin not guilty by reason of insanity and committed him to a secure mental health facility where he'll remain until doctors and a judge determine he no longer poses a danger, which, for a case this infamous, may very well be never. And as for Austin's channel, it still sits online, revealing the slow descent of a hopeful teenager into complete insanity over the course of a few short months.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys thought of these channels that disappeared for disturbing reasons down below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you all for the next one.